I love in your subway, your metro here, when they have this kind of sound. They should do this in New York, but in New York would just say, "Fuck you, get off next stop." Okay. So, I realize what I'm saying or giving or presenting is a lot of information, right? How many people's brains are kind of going like this right now? So, are there any questions so far? Or comments? Things like this. Okay. All right. So we were talking about these portfolio reviews and how important it is. Those different ideas. So let's talk about the follow-up. So you've made, we've talked about this a bit already, but you've had your meeting, you go home, you sit and digest, so to speak, everything that's been said to you, and by many different people, and you look at all your notes, you take all your cards and decide what you're doing. So, what should you do in your follow-up? What's important? Don't everybody talk at once. Come on. Come on, Budapest. I know you have a lot going on in your heads. You're very, very intelligent country, and very creative artists. So,
keep in touch, update them.
Okay, so update. What else? How are you doing this? How are you keeping in touch?
Say thank you.
Sorry?
Say thank you to them.
Say thank you. That's a good start. Excuse my terrible Hungarian. Or if they speak French and you speak French, then say merci beaucoup pour votre temps, etc., etc., right? What else? Nothing? Come on, Budapest! I'm rooting for you. Sorry? Send new work. Okay, this would be part of updating.
Can I ask you something?
No. Of course. Of course.
Isn't it a kind of pushing yourself? Because it's not European style.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It's absolutely
this is my
true.
problem. I'm really thinking on it that after a review, can you send an email to your reviewer with a thank you and with your new works? Isn't it like you are pushing yourself? Because maybe in the USA it works because the connections are absolutely different.
Mm-hmm.
But here in Europe, maybe it's too much. I don't know.
Okay. So, before I answer your question,
Yeah.
what do you think? Is it, do you understand her question? And it's a very, very good one. And I teach also in Germany and Poland. And I'm aware that I teach, look at what I'm wearing, right? I teach a different style. New York, right? We're crazy, we're very aggressive. I know all the critiques about Americans, and they're mostly true. We can be obnoxious, pushy, very self-centered, very insensitive, not always so smart and educated, and these kinds of things. But what do you think? Is this a good thing or a bad thing to follow up your meeting with somebody with something? So what would you, so that's a question. What do you think? Yes?
Yeah, I think there is the kind of really pushy follow-up that you mentioned. It's like, yeah, thank you, you are the greatest person, and I'm so touched to know that. So I agree, there is this kind of thing, but if you're discussing with someone of whose opinion you're interested in, then there must have been a lot of things discussed, like other artists and other things on the internet or wherever. that is, I don't know, like quite practical to share. I mean, it's not anything like pushing yourself. It's just that you wanted to show something, and then now you have the chance. It's kind of funny that I'm saying it because I'm just too lazy and like forgetful to do any of this stuff. But after this meeting, after this lecture here, I definitely will do that.
Great.
But so I think it's just like plain common sense. I mean, it's, you know, there were a lot of, I mean, there must have been a lot of things that can be like continued in discussion. I mean, and if there weren't any of this stuff, then that whole discussion was maybe like not that interesting at all. But if there was, then I don't know. There should be a lot of things to talk about after it. So it's okay. I think in that case it's completely normal.
Okay.
It's like writing a mail to your friend or something.
And what do you have to say?
I'm also like all the time when you're seeing these things, and I used to study marketing, so practically I know about this. Theoretically, I'm discounting everything by 50% because I know I wouldn't be able to do like you do, but I think it's how he said up to choosing the right people. I mean, if you really don't have to say to anybody or you would feel pushy, then you shouldn't do it. So I'm sure I would select people to who I give.
Okay. Okay, excellent. So those are interesting response. Is that helpful?
Yes. Although I think it's the right way to promote yourself, but I don't feel for me that I could do it because I would feel that I'm pushing myself too much.
No, but it's like if we are talking right now and you say that, oh, I have something in mind that I want to show you and I will.
Yeah, but not for you. I mean to the reviewers, because we are.
But it doesn't matter because I mean in this case because like you wouldn't write a mail for me saying that, hey, I'm just writing to you so I let you know that I exist or something like that. I mean you obviously wouldn't do that to your friend, but you would definitely send something that is informative. So like if you take this kind of thing as a conversation between two people, just as that, then like why wouldn't you write a mail saying that, hey, here's the thing that I mentioned. That's it. I mean, and of course it has this kind of marketing reasons, but I think it's not the main point. I mean, it's like you're just not able to market yourself if you don't have anything to say. I mean, that's marketing yourself is not the more important part of it, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yes, please.
I think there are different ways of doing it. Actually, I'm from France, so I know better the French market. And the point, so I think there are different ways of doing this. Actually, I don't know the Hungarian market because I'm from France. And the point is that in France, we just don't do it. This is really not the habits because there is a kind of amalgam between commercial and the artist. So artists don't do it. This
and they don't do what?
Promoting themselves.
Okay.
This is really, well,
Not at all.
it's not your job because this is a kind of vulgarity.
Yeah, vulgar.
And arrogancy.
Okay. So how does somebody in France make an impression on somebody to get an exhibition opportunity or after a meeting? And you have Paris Photo is this weekend, and you have some very good things happening in Europe. I mean in France, excuse me.
No, of course you can do it, but the general thing that you have a kind of representative. I mean later on.
Sorry, I don't understand.
You have a representative, something.
A representative,
Yeah.
okay. Like an agent.
Right.
Okay. All right, in the US, it's very difficult to get an agent. It's usually, you have to be pretty important, and they have to know that they're going to sell your work to magazines, exhibition opportunities, for assignments, advertisement, things like this. And I know a few people who have agents, but they're very seldom. And it is very accepted in the US that this is the method. But I think it's important to consider that while it seems vulgar, let's say, to use that word, and arrogant and pushy, it is in a lot of the world in parts of Europe and definitely in the US, which is a huge market for opportunity. And Europe is also a big market for us for opportunity. It is becoming more acceptable to be making this kind of contact with people, and that it should not be seen as something not to do just because it's uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable because it's new, in a sense, and it's learning to figure out a different system. The other thing is that you have to be gentle. I'm not going to send an email to say, "Dear Peter, great to meet you. Here's my work. Can't wait to make an exhibition." I'm really serious. Some people say very blunt things. You have to decide how to, as Mate said, to treat this like a friendship, because it is. And these are people who can help make decisions. This is, of course, my opinion, and in my opinion as an American. But I've traveled a lot and seen a lot of things and meet a lot of people. That you need to decide how sensitive, or how to be sensitive to the people that you meet and what's appropriate. And maybe one question to ask is, how would you like me to follow up? Because then, in a way, this takes the pushy, rude part, the insensitive, and puts it on them to say, okay, how would you like me to do this? Because if they say, oh, send me an email, then you have the permission, and it's no longer an uncomfortable thing, and it doesn't provide an anxiety, let's say, about what to do, and if you're doing it or not doing it, if it's right or wrong, and things like this. And I also know that everybody likes to hear from people and to hear what's going on, and depending on how it's done. So we'll talk more about when I talk about email as a method of announcing and things like this. But I think you don't just send tons of emails to people. You have to be very sort of political or strategic about it. So that's why it would be something that I would say you should do, but I would say to the comments that these two made, you should do it to everybody. Don't just choose the ones that you like. Choose the ones also that you don't know if there will be an opportunity, because you never know what will happen. And let's say these two women came from Bratislava, and let's say one was a great meeting and one was not, but they're friends. So you would not want to send one of them an email and not the other, because what if they're talking and they say, oh, I heard from this one, and the other says, really, I didn't get anything. That only emphasizes the fact that there's a disconnect and a social critique, let's say, or something, that there's a tension. And it doesn't have to be 500 words. It shouldn't be 500 words. It should be short, to the point, and it should have images. So, for example, what's your name again? Sorry?
Sylvia.
Sylvia. Dear Sylvia, it was lovely to meet you at Fotoporta. Thank you for your time and interest in my work. I look forward to keeping in touch. Attached are some of the pictures that I showed you. Thank you again. It was a really interesting meeting. If there was something that she said, then I would say, your comments about my pineapples were really good and made me think a lot. I'm now eating only cucumbers. Whatever. But, you know, I'm joking, of course, but it's very much a compliment. You're saying thank you, you're appreciating them, and maybe you have a cucumber picture, let's say. You say, because of that conversation, I photographed a few cucumbers. I wonder what you might think of this. I look forward to keeping in touch. Boom. So I appreciate the sensitivity that the European model has, and I really love that, because I don't like the American model for many different things, not just the art world. But I recognize it. It's the way I was born and raised, and I can't be completely different. But I try to, you can see I have multiple sort of personalities, let's say, of being funny, but being serious, being very passionate, being very emotional, and also very sensitive. I'm really sensitive to trying to understand the culture that I'm working in. But in this case, the culture that you're working in, or I too, because I am also an artist, the culture is about finding sensitive ways to remind people that you exist. Because if you don't exist. And nothing's going to happen unless you make such an impression that they say, who is that woman who had the pineapple pictures? Where's her card? shit, I can't find it. Oh, wait, I'll ask my friend, or oh, here it is. You do not want that to happen. You want to make it easy for them to find you again. But I appreciate the sensitivity, and let that be part of your marketing. Because, not to talk about myself, but people who I know like me because when I go into their gallery and say hi, I'm asking, how's your children, or what's happening, or this is an interesting picture. I'm not saying hi and then I pull out some shit, you know, and say, it's all about me and me, me. I never do that. Or if I do, it's because I think I have something they're really gonna love. But I'm mostly there as a friend, an ambassador. I'm a professor, so I want to look, and maybe I send my students. So I'm there. It's much more about an interaction that's very social, that is a friendship and almost a peer relationship, even though, of course, they are much more important than me. So does that help?
Yes.
Great. Yeah. But I appreciate your question very much. It's a really good one.
You know, I was really curious because I know that you traveled a lot in Europe, so you have experience about it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, and my experience of emailing mostly with Europeans, because I'm in the States, is it's amazing how slow people are to respond. In Germany, in France, in Poland, and here, even when they're saying, we want you to come over, and people are busy. So it's about sort of finding a way. And I think to make it yours individually, you. So make it Sylvia. Don't make Saul, don't make Mate, don't make Peter, make Sylvia, and then it's authentic. Yeah, great. Okay. Other questions or comments? That's a great one. Okay. So the follow-up, maintain a good impression. You know, again, really be yourself, be thoughtful. Maybe you take pictures of pineapples and they say, oh, my daughter loves pineapple. And you're looking at your work, but really you're talking about family, children, food, play. This can be part of your response. Or like I make work sometimes, it's very personal, but I do this in a different way. I don't make it necessarily just about, my work is about human interaction. So I'm very interested in psychology. So maybe we're talking about psychology more than we even talk about my pictures. So I can write them and I can say, you know, we were talking about something, or here's an article that somebody wrote, or here's something I read, or, you know, or maybe they even say, I need a psychologist. I have no idea, but I'm just saying. So we become helpers for them as well as them for us. Be yourself, be creative and memorable. So, you know, think about how you're going to do that. And yeah, I'm going to always speak to my, you know, a US-based version, an American version of marketing, but I think it's about being memorable so that they don't forget the pineapple people and all they remember were that black and white nude landscapes. Oh, that guy was so pushy with the landscapes, but I can't remember anybody else. Recall something important, like I'm saying, about the children, or about psychology, or about toys, or about the weather, or this is their first trip to Budapest, and you said, oh, I know a great cafe, I know a great place for a pastry. Oh, you're going to have time for the bathhouse on Sunday? Come here, this is great. And ask for Josef, and tell them that Sylvia sent you, because he knows a great massage, whatever. These can be great. Like I have a list of things to do in Budapest that I give to my friends, or I would give to a reviewer, so, and keep in touch. Follow up, I say sooner than later. If it takes you a month because your life is just, that's how it is, that's understandable. We can't always be perfect all the time. Like, I'm just so busy right now, so I don't have time to do certain things. But do it when you can, really important. And I say with everybody. Doesn't matter if they're positive or negative. Prioritize though, the first should be the most important people, and then get to the other people when you can. Keep your database updated. So, how many of you have some system of recording every email address that you have, and who that person is, if you need to at least, and what they represent? Okay. You have all your addresses somewhere, right? They're in your computer, they're in your phone, they're somewhere. So, start to make, like I use Mac, so Mac has this address book program, and you can when you get an email from someone, you click on it, it opens in the address book, you can add notes, things like this, and I can say, Sylvia, we met at Photo Porta, she had the pictures of this, or she asked me that, or whatever. Because if your brain's like mine, you're in big trouble. So you need things to remember. And then keep that updated, you know? Because like I have a whole database just for Budapest 2011, just for Berlin 2011, Budapest 2012, the reviewers that I met here, Budapest, you know, other people, things like this. So I have many. And then, when we're talking about email, when you're sending out an announcement, you just drag and stick these into the email, and then immediately you have 20 people here, 500 people there, 3 people there, whatever. And it's very easy. And keep it updated, so if you get a bounce back and they say, oh, I can't find this person, or they have 2 addresses, you know what that is. And send updates occasionally. And updates, do you have an idea what this means, update? Is that a silent yes?
Yes.
Okay. Budapest speaks. Okay. And send announcements when appropriate. So there's 2 different things, updates and announcements. Do you understand the difference between an update and an announcement? Yes? No? Okay. Great. So announcements when appropriate. If you have 3 exhibitions in 2 months, send 3 emails. When it's time. Opening next week, tomorrow night, whatever. You know, ideally, if it's opening in a week, let people know. So then you send it a reminder the day of or the day before. So they don't say, oh, I didn't hear about it till the day of. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. Those you send as often as you need. Or some people send, you know, like several things at once if a lot is happening. But updates are just once in a while. Like I don't even update people that often, unless, you know, it depends or something. The other thing, I didn't talk about it here, but the subject line. You all know this in the email? I think you should never say news, update, or something that sounds very sort of, let's say, selfish, to use Sylvia's sort of, or Sylvia's description. It has to, so I almost always will say, like this series with the chairs, it's called initial intake. So I will use that word of the title, initial intake, in the subject. So I will say initial intake solo exhibition in New York City. I will not ever say news from Saul Robbins, or update from Saul Robbins, or newsletter or something like that. And the reason is that I've heard from many people that they rarely open these emails. They're so busy, 100 emails a day, or that they're going to look quickly, or if they're like me, they look through everything, but news, do I really care what you're doing? Maybe. But if you're having an exhibition, or you publish, or I could say, you know, initial intake in La Repubblica, or New York Times, or, you know, Budapesti Daily, or whatever. So think about that line. And I'm not guaranteeing that people will look, because again, I think email has become so saturated that everybody's exhausted from it. And again, that's why sending something can be really great. Okay, so additional materials. And this is in the follow-up. You might want to send a promo packet. You might want to have that be made out of paper, or a CD, or a zip drive, or a mailer, or a zine. This is for you to decide what expresses your work. What if, you know, you're making pictures of fruit, and you make a little basket, or something that looks like a little fruit container or something. That's very simple. Like I love chocolate. I sent one-year Valentines to people. Do you know Valentine's Day? Yeah. Stupid holiday, just tell everybody that you love them. But I sent chocolate to people, and I made meetings out of this. So include in there, again, your reviews, your press clippings, you know, interviews, etc., all this stuff. Your statement, your CV, your bio. So it's the same stuff you would hand out if they asked you to send it afterwards. This is not something you send if you've already sent it, unless you have something new. If you have the name of your series, the title list, the print sizes. And sometimes people will say, how big are these? You have to have an answer to this question. If they say, what is your edition? You need to be thinking about this. If they ask you your prices, you need to be thinking about this. I recognize that it's a problem because a lot of us don't think about that, but you need to at least know that this is a question that's going to come to you, we say in English, out of left field, unexpected. You need to at least have an idea about this. And if you're in your first or second year of studies, you're not always thinking about size or price, which is good. It gives you freedom just to create. But people are going to ask you these things. If you come to a review, it is your responsibility to know the vocabulary and the expectations of the people that you're meeting with. And, additions and prices, you must be able to answer that question. I don't want to get into it a whole lot because we could spend an hour discussing it. And it's a complicated equation, but it's very important. Okay, and again, your name and your contact information should always be on anything you send. So do people know what an email signature is? Yes? Now everybody has send from my iPhone, right? That's the most often used signature. Take that stupid send from my iPhone in and make your name, Pretendi Sabo Peter, your email address, your website information, or your Skype, or whatever. Like I'm traveling now, I sent my phone number, and this woman from Italy called in the middle of the night and woke my wife up at 4 in the morning because she thought it was, it doesn't matter. She thinks she's reaching me. So I took that out and left my Skype. Some way to be contacted. Oh, because I don't have a mobile. I hate them. It's unnecessary even for me. But some way to be reached, especially if you're in another country. And you don't have to have a telephone, but if you put this in your signature, then it's always there. You never have to type it in. And it allows people, oh, that's their website. Great. Where's that person's email? I can't find the card. Oh, her name was, okay. Boom. You find their email, you can do a quick search. Okay. All right, now comes fun part. I can talk a little bit less and show you some things. So examples. So this is a huge range of stuff, of things that I think are interesting, that still catch my attention. Don't fall asleep because you've seen this, some of them. I'll wake you up when the new ones come. So, this is a friend. So, what do we have? Title, name, quotation. We heard of him, right? Jung, he's not so far from here. Vienna, which has great reviews. So, Budapest, 6,000 forints. Bratislava, maybe 50 to 100 euros. Vienna, 150 euros. So think about within a 500 kilometer or shorter radius, you have all these three, at least, opportunities to meet people. And you can consider the importance of Carl Jung and Sigmund. And this is the back. Again, an image, a statement, website, email, studio, and mobile, or we call it cell. Some people do. And that's all, it's this size. It's very simple. It costs you pennies, even forints, it's very cheap. This is another one. This is folds twice, so it turns into a little square. It's difficult to see, but as information there, and it says 2004 pigment print, size, a lot of information. So if I get this, I can say, oh, this is what he's thinking. And this is the back. Again, statement about the artist. So here, limited edition, right there. And of course, 5 images. That's a lot of images. Okay, this is another woman I met years ago. So, she makes provocative portraits of friends, social situations, all the information. This is, I don't think there was anything on the back. And then this was a little thing she made, like a little pamphlet, front and back. Very simple. You can see what she's thinking about intimacy. They're very blunt. This is a friend in Portland, Oregon. So, you know, all this stuff. And that's just one side. Back side, two excerpts from comments by people, from a gallery and from a magazine. This is a friend and somebody I curated into an exhibition actually once. So, very simple. But as you read, not yet titled, 2002, blah, 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 permanent collection, Mocha, LA. That's enough. For me, that means this person's doing something. And then the contact information. So if you can decide how much information to put depending on what it is. If I put permanent collection of a museum, even if it's Kecskemét, you have a great relationship here between the Association of Young Hungarian Photographers and the museum in Kecskemét, and every single one of you who's a member of this association should be working to make your work interesting and important enough to get into that museum, because it is an opportunity and almost a responsibility that the director of the museum has to fill the museum with Hungarian photography. That's amazing. I don't have that opportunity in the United States. They say, so what? So you could say that collection of the museum. Okay. What the hell is this? It's a piece of silver paper, old piece of Ilford paper, and he makes a stamp, and he rips it up, and this is very indicative of his style. He has this sort of irreverent, I don't care, look to his materials, old paper, he loves old paper, and he has a stamp. He doesn't. And it's beautiful. It's about this big. Very memorable, and it feels great because it's a real photograph. It's not this crappy inkjet stuff, and it's not plastic. It's fantastic. This is something that I saw at an exhibition. There was a master's exhibition. So this is acceptable to me because it says, even though it's from school, right? It says thesis. It says MFA in photography, blah, 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 blah. It has website, it has detail, and has name. And it's a really beautiful, unique object because it's got the curves, which for me, as I always love. And this is probably about that big. It's an image from something that this woman did. Again, gives her all of her information. Statement and bio. This is somebody who made, this is this woman's daughter, Amelia, and she photographs her with animals and zoos and parks and things, and in their home. 2, 3. Tiny Vices, which is a great website that this man, Tim Barber, is the editor of. Anybody can send pictures to him as a submission. So she's on there, and he has some significance in the sort of blog world. But Aperture Book, have you heard of Aperture? A few of you? It's kind of well known. Katarzyna Majak, she was a reviewer here last year at Fotoporta. She lives in, I think, Warsaw. This is from a project she did about a wedding dress. Just the back, very simple, but extremely provocative, sort of high contrast image. This is a page from a magazine that she was in. She was going to get married and she decided not to at the last minute, I think. And then she did this whole project with this wedding dress. I think it's very interesting. She had a photographer who's like really high style wedding photographer, photograph her in the dress. That's what this is, and that. And then she had some henna, different things. So this could be an example of something to put in your packet because it was an article in a magazine. Some examples of business cards, just different ones. This is just handwritten. It looks like crap to me, but it's beautiful because it's unique. This is a man I met on the internet. Beautiful piece of handmade paper. This is made with a typewriter, and this is, she makes wet plate landscapes. So these landscapes I like. They're very dreamy looking. But she sort of sticks this tiny little thing on and then uses this crappy old typewriter. It's very retro. This man is a designer. This man is actually a reviewer. So different possible ways to make something. And this man is a photographer. Okay. So then now some examples of giveaways, leave behinds, mailers, whatever you want to call it. So this Ray Mortensen is a very well-known photographer. But there was an exhibition, and at the gallery they had this magazine. And this was maybe 7, 8 years ago, before the zine thing was so popular. And just several images. Anybody can do this now, it's very easy. This is another example of a zine. It's wrapped in paper, like from a paper bag. And so you can see it's a little irreverent. This man, John Travinsky, he's literally a rocket scientist. That's his training. He works at Harvard, MIT. And he makes it work about sort of science and perception. This is the outside of his CD. This is the inside. And on this, so he gives you very simple contents. Proposal with installation views, so you know what you're getting. Information, print information and pricing. Artist statement, and he says see insert because it may change, so it may be a physical thing he includes in the case. Statement, press clippings, CV, see insert because that's changing too. High resolution press images, his address, all that. He has a link on his website where you can download the latest version of this, and he essentially says it's a press packet, it's ready to go, the pictures are in the box, and I think he has a picture of it, this big fancy case. And it's essentially, if you need John Travinsky, here's all the shit you need for him. Because you send this, you invite him, and boom, that box is out the door within a week. So it's a little bit humorous, but it also shows that he has integrity, and his career is doing really nicely now. And then this is what he's doing now. There's some dog hair on his floor, and it's the same stuff, essentially. New picture. And gigabyte of information if you want it. $5, maybe less. Here in Budapest, you probably even get it cheaper. Okay. This is a very nice, simple CD case. It's embossed. And inside, card, CD, one image to give you a sense of visually what you're going to receive inside the CD. This is Katarzyna's CD. Very simple, very clean. And people do different things. So I brought these examples. So this is very nice. This is obviously produced, right? Because it looks really nice. It's got a little logo up there. Everything looks very good. This looks beautiful. Very simple also to produce. The CD inside is very basic. It doesn't have to be, everything has to look perfect like that. That's great, but you have to be really organized for this and decide you want a bunch of those. And then this is another alternative. And these are just things I received. So this is what mine look like usually. Although now I have some CDs I can print onto, but, and my writing looks terrible. But these still get the idea across. You don't have to make this if all you have is the time to do this. But it's what's on it that's important. And if you can make at least the lines look straight, that's a nice thing. Okay. So this is I can't remember her name, Jessica something or other. Do people get what this means? Yeah, okay, so you young people understand this. So it's, for her, I Heart Boy is the name of the project. And this is what's inside it. Poster, a card, some imagery, and the bag. So this is the bag. You get a book, and it comes in the bag and all this stuff. And then inside, she's got a store, she had an exhibition. So I just wanted to show you, one side and then the other side, what's inside. So, and it's nice. I have a copy of the book. I got the little bag. I got my cool stuff, right? Okay. This woman, Latasha Diggs, is not a photographer, but I saw this, I think, at a master's exhibition, and I just thought it looked so beautiful. It's literally about that big. And it opens up, and it has all this poetry. You could put pictures on it. It's beautiful. For me, you know, my wife can take the little bag and put her jewelry in it, or I can take it back and say, no, I want to show this to my students. But it has this physical quality, you know, whatever. It's a nice object, and it's thoughtful, and if you read it, it has, you know, intrigue and all that. This is another one. This is somebody who got their bachelor's. Stick it in water and put it on a window. Great. It's just their email address. But it's enough, and it's very memorable, and it's maybe this big, very small. Okay. This is by a friend who's Israeli but lives in New York. Her name is Rona Yefman. She went to Columbia University, and then she applied for and received the Camera Club residency, I think last year. And she has had a lot of exhibition success. And it's a project she did with her brother, who was considering a sex change. And this was a flyer that she had. So here's the information. It was at a very good alternative gallery down on Houston Street. We are still feeling extremely well. And it's very expressive of the type of work that it was. It's video, it's installation, it's still photography. Very, very interesting work. So you can see, just but very intense, very strong, very in your face, let's say. Okay. This is something that happened to me last year in Krakow. This woman was pulling out her pictures and showing them to me, and we were talking, and I was making some suggestions. She pulled out her Fuji camera, and she wrote on it, and this is my takeaway. That's fucking awesome. And I'm using that word. My only critique, she used my pen, which I don't mind, but she can use it, but it's very difficult to see. But this was great. It's a unique collector's item, in my opinion. It's not going to be worth much money, but it's totally cool. Cool stuff. I like cool stuff. I got too much of it. Come to New York, say hello, and take something. Okay. This is what I did. Valentine's Day. I got coffee, chocolate, labels, little stamp. I print my own color photographs at the Camera Club, so these are C prints. I take a bunch and I fold them up, and then, dear so-and-so, happy Valentine's Day. I'm working on some new ideas, blah, 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 blah. I write in here what the picture is from the series XYZ. I hear from Where's My Happy Ending. He wrote me back. He's an editor, no, he's the director of Seven, which is a very important photojournalist agency. He wrote back, thanks for the chalks. He's British. And I said, you're welcome. Let's have a coffee. He said, love to. It's great. The only problem is it cost me about €1 to send it, because it's thick. I didn't realize this at first. And then I made something else that also cost me money. So anyway, and then this guy, Ryan Humphrey, I went to graduate school with him, and he has this Humphrey Industries. He's kind of skateboarder, motocross, fuck you kind of attitude. He makes this sticker, it's about that big, hands it out, and puts it on stuff all over. So irreverent, but really, really good. Very beautiful, polished sculpture installation. Artwork looks very mechanical, really, but very cool. This is a woman I just was part of my recent psychology project. She is a self-proclaimed psychologist, so she makes a prescription pad. So this is the writing. So she fills it in, and what she does is she makes text portraits of people when she has a session with them, and then she says, oh, be careful of using your work to avoid intimacy. Or, be nice to people, or it could be, don't be so anxious about your dog, or I don't know what. you know, but this is her prescription, and it's a great marketing tool. And this is actually a pretty important guy, so it's pretty cool that she wrote one for this person. But awesome, it's about this big, looks like you get from the doctor. Crazy idea, but it's great. It has all her stuff, Twitter, blah, 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 blah. And then this is from the exhibition that I just had. I made these to give out to people who came to visit with me. It's a little tissue packet with picture. Simple design, right? Label. Print them out, stick them on. It cost me like 10 cents a piece, 15 maybe, no, 40 cents because the sticker, they, whatever. It's great, it's super memorable. But I also had, you can see these crazy cards, I got 2,000. And then this is here, you know, have things around for people to take away. Okay. Questions, comments? So make it memorable. Give something to people that they're going to want to say, wow, that's cool. I can't wait to get that person's next thing. Because that's actually something that I haven't talked about, that when you're at these reviews, and if you went this year, you should come back next year. And if you didn't go this year, you definitely should come next year. You should also think about who's coming, or if the person that you met this year here is not coming here, maybe he or she is in Bratislava. And then it's not so far. You could even go for the day if you can't afford a hotel. Because one of the things you're doing is the meetings over time are much better than the email, obviously. And what you do is you're continually reminding them of you, which is, you could say it's as forceful as sending an email, but it's not, because it's a face-to-face and it's really a meeting again. But one reason I will go to more reviews, even though sometimes I'm not so interested in the people, but there's enough people there that I know it's about me maintaining these connections. And that I want to show them that I am interested in meeting them. That I'm not going to be so elitist that, oh, I don't have to ever go see them again. So think about, you know, how this kind of relationship builds over time. Okay, so this is another scenario. And that one that more likely will be something that you will do more often than portfolio reviews. Because there are so many opportunities, and I will give you later some resources. By email, I send you some things. And the condition for you getting these things is you have to send me an email. You're not going to get it unless I hear from you. Because I want, it's like training, right? We're all in training to make good work. I want you to know that you should follow up, it's okay. And practice makes perfect. Make a bad email to me, not to somebody who really matters because they love your work and they want to put you in an exhibition and it makes you anxious or whatever. Because what I send out to my students and former students, and there's hundreds of them now, I get something from an organization and I say, this looks cool, forward it. Hey, this is great, it's for women under 35, or FOAM is doing something for young people, or Brooklyn only, or women from Staten Island, or I don't care what. I just send it out to everybody. And if you're not a woman under 35, next one might be, this is for men over 40, or whatever. Or this is in Europe, or this is only in New York, or only in California, but I send this stuff out at least once or twice a month. And so a lot of the things that I send are links to calls for work, competitions, contests, things like this. And then I expect that you will start to subscribe to these things and find out about opportunities. So, first off, follow their guidelines. Have any of you ever submitted to something online? Yeah? Good. So, before we get going, what are some of their guidelines? What is your experience when you've done this in the past?
Deadline.
Deadline? That's a good one. So,
Image size, number of images. Editing.
right?
And how many characters?
How many characters?
You have
In-
to use in the text?
Great, that's excellent.
You need permission of the models for the website.
Okay, possible permission. That's really important, depending on what it is. But if you were submitting especially to something that was commercial, you better have a model release, because it could be a problem. In fact, I just heard from somebody that had an exhibition and was a family member in the picture, and he had them sign something, and then they said, "What the hell is this? It's now in a magazine," or something like that. So you never know. And if you ever want to shoot for stock, you better have a model release too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're really in trouble. What else?
Fee. Fee.
Fee.
Yeah.
Fee.
Pay? Ah, so sometimes there's money.
Sometimes.
I prefer to send you the ones that are free, but yes, there are some for money. Yeah, how do we say this? Is it for you? Because it's really nice when you say, no, that's not good. Then it gives you more clarity. You don't send cucumbers when they want fruit. Yeah, that's really important.
Who can participate in-
Sorry?
Who can participate in this competition?
Yeah, it's the same as it's, yeah. Yeah, and right, if it's men over 30 or women under 30 or whatever, or like Foam in Amsterdam, they only want young
Or
people.
some
Yeah.
country.
Exactly. Yes.
Maybe to check last year's winner's profile.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And including the runner-up. Yeah, that's really a good idea. And that's the same when you go to a review, you should research who you're going to meet with. So if you have the choice, don't choose the person who only looks at, cucumbers when you make pineapples. Yes?
And I think it's also important that you have to know what form they want at the end, because if you have to print and send it by mail or DHL, or it will cost a lot of money, so you have to count it.
That's a really great point. And we can say, is it for you? And maybe we have to say also, is it worth it? Because, so it's great, I'm come to Europe, I meet all these people, that's cool, maybe I have an exhibition. How many thousand euros is it going to cost me? So maybe it's better to come and teach. It's much cheaper. Even though it looks so cool, yeah man, I had a show at my mono house, and then I went to Berlin. Or if you're going to have an exhibition opportunity, how many other places can you arrange to make it travel? So once it's at Maimano, then it goes to Bratislava, then it goes to Paris, or then it goes to London, and you have these people and you hope that they might pay for that. So are there prizes? So we could say for this it's cost and prizes. Because maybe it's worth 20 euros because the prize is 1,000 euros. This is something you have to decide. And I just got something actually with deadline maybe already or soon, and it costs $20, $30, and I know one of the reviewers, and it's a $1,000 prize. Second prize would be on the website. But it's possible. So the investment could very well be worth it. Okay. Anything else people think of? Yes, sir.
Final sizes and formats.
Yeah.
Do I have a row or such a format?
Mm-hmm.
And jury. Who is the jury?
Yeah. So similar to who is the jury? Very good. Usually final size and format is up to you, the artist, because they will not tell you it has to be 72 by 106. They're going to say, they want your picture, what size do you have? But you do need to think about the size you have. What? I can hardly hear you.
So when you obviously you upload or send the images in a smaller size than they ask, but you attach these attach, they want to know sizes. That would be part of the
Okay.
They want to know it.
Yeah, yeah, you want to know, this is all part of your information. Okay. What else do you send?
Theme?
Theme. Right, so the theme would be related is it for you? Statement. That's a good idea. What am I looking at? Okay. What else? Anything? I got plenty of other ideas. So. Anything else? Okay, we'll keep moving. So, a tightly edited, cohesive series of images. So, if you're showing work in a portfolio or submitting for a contest or something, you should not be sending, you know, in English we say apples and oranges, different things. Not to use that with confuse that with the pineapple metaphor. So you should send 10 landscapes, 10 pineapples, 10 self-portraits, 10 whatever. Don't send 5 and 5 because they might get 500 submissions and they're looking for reasons to exclude because it's so hard to make a decision. Don't make that easy. Then the specifications, size, number, quality. Do they want a JPEG quality 8? Do they want a TIFF? You know, do they want a PDF instead of individual images? This kind of stuff. Color space, sRGB, RGB. So they should probably have some kind of cover letter or email. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be, Dear Joe Magazine, attached are my 12 pictures as requested by your website, or here is my website link to a certain page. Because sometimes they ask for, just send a link to a URL for the specific project, not to the website. So, yes?
I have a question. Like if your work has like a specific kind of layout or a special kind of arrangement, I don't know, like as a print or something, then what can you do in this case? I mean, so if your images are meant to be seen in a certain kind of like as in a zine or something, so with different sizes, different frames and all that stuff.
Right.
Like what can you do when a competition asks for 10 JPEGs or something like that? So for example, usually what I do, I ask if I can attach a PDF or something with the material, but if like sometimes they just don't even answer. There is also this possibility to export these JPEGs as the entire pages, but it's again there is this chance that they will just exclude because what is that? I mean, so it's just that. What do you think about this? I mean, do people care about your special ideas?
I think it's a really good question because as the image maker, we need to be, like when we have the meetings, we need to, in a sense, we drive the meeting to where we want to go. We're the image maker, we want to drive their awareness of our images as we intended. But normally when, let's say they want 10 pictures, I would say just send 10 pictures. If they have an image list, you let them know that you could say size variable. That would be enough because then that lets them know that any picture may change in size. Or you could, if you want, for one of your 10 images, send an installation picture that shows many different things. If there is a chance to address it, obviously that's best. Or you could say one size is 20 by 25, one size is 40 by 50, things like this. I would let the picture speak for you and not worry too much until the acceptance happens, and then to discuss with them, okay, that's great, I've been accepted. How's this going to be presented or displayed? Here is my ideal situation. And I want one this big and two this size and things like this. Yeah,
like for example, when you want to work with image pairs or something like that. With pairs of images. And then they ask for single images. And it's like, I don't know. it's a really tough decision whether to include like 2 images in one file or just write or just write a really stupid sounding letter that please note that these should be viewed as pairs. I mean, it just sounds really, really stupid.
I would let a pair be one image. So if you make pairs always and your work is about relationships, and then you're sending 20 pictures as 10 JPEGs. And one could be this size and one could be this size, but that's one image.
So you don't think that, for example, this could have your work excluded?
No.
Really?
I don't.
Because I was kind of sure that it's...
Yeah, me too.
This is like one of the reasons that would make the judges, that what kind of format is this?
I think the
So
judges should not be doing that.
Okay.
But I wonder, did you have a comment?
No, I just said this is my same thing.
Yeah.
If they say that I can send 10 images and I send
20?
pairs, but maybe they will execute because they have 500 runners and they don't want to push.
But if they see 10 pairs, they know, or they should know, they're not stupid.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
maybe. But, yeah, right, you never know. But then they should know that there should be pairs. Do you have a comment? Okay.
I don't.
Yes?
I
Hold
work
on.
with hundreds of images, and I always state that the image they ask is the surface of my frame of creation, and that's not the same as the camera's frame. So I create 200 or 40 images in one image, and no one ever said that you're overusing it, because basically the way you edit is part of your work, it's part of the expression, and it should be shown.
Yeah. And also the two of you, I'm noticing in their language, you haven't said, I sent it and they rejected it. You just said, I don't know if they will. So I'm saying, unless you keep having this problem.
I sent it in, and I don't know that they are rejected because of the rules of the rejected because they don't like them.
Sure.
Or they didn't like them.
Most likely it's because they didn't like it or it didn't fit. I really think it's okay, because if everything is a pair or a triple or something like this, that's what you're making is this object, and this is this is what you're doing. Yes, did you have a comment?
It's nearly the same question, but should I give some installation recommendation if there's any?
You could have an installation shot with your work. It would depend. It would depend if you say it strongly enough in 7 or 8 pictures that then you can have something else. Or if they ask for installation, it depends on this. I've done that. There have been some grants I've applied for where this kind of things. Yeah. Any other questions? So you should have your statement, all your text, if they want this. Sometimes they only say statement. Sometimes they want bio, CV, image list, whatever. It really, I'll show you some examples. And then how you're going to deliver it. Is it dropped off by hand? Is it the post office, email, URL, etc. What they want. And now, especially because we're talking about contests, it's much more likely it's going to be electronic. And there's an organization called CAFE, which stands for something. And you upload all your pictures to the site, and then you can choose this one. I want to send 10 pictures and a statement. This one I want to send 8 pictures or 5 pictures or whatever. And it's very simple, and then depending if they want money or not, then you pay CAFE, and then for the ones that cost them, you don't pay for the other ones. But it's sort of an online way to hold your pictures. So you will find different things, and I will, of course, be sending you this kind of stuff. Keep track of your deadlines. Man, I've missed a lot of stuff, but they wanted just January, and I thought February. So that means keeping up to date. Like there was one, they used to be January 15 and June 15. And I didn't check their website for a year because I'm just, whatever, right? So you aren't the only ones who are new to some of this stuff or whose lives get busy and we say in English, shit happens and we get completely distracted. And then, I sent it January 3rd and it's rejected, of course. And if you have questions, better be really important because as Mate just said, they don't always respond. So it has to be something that I see there's confusion in this request, it doesn't make sense. What if they say send a PDF of JPEGs or send a PDF and JPEGs? I don't know what, but And it may be better if you can to make a telephone call to try to reach somebody than an email. Or ideally, both. Email and phone, if you can. And maybe email, phone, another phone call, depending on how it works. Okay, don't forget, is there an application form? Is there a payment? Are there support materials requested or denied? Do they want documentation? And if it's for a grant or a residency, they're going to want more information, most likely. Name and contact everywhere. Review their submissions online and review them, I didn't say, but review them soon. And we say in English, KISS, the KISS rule, keep it simple, stupid. It's an old thing, like from our grandparents' age, but it's kind of true. Make it easy. And what you can do is you can have a folder that you, let's say you're working in Lightroom and you export everything 1,000 pixels. And then you put it all in a folder and then you upload it, or you put it on a CD or whatever you're going to do, and you can have everything organized, and it can be a little bit like a machine, where you become the machine and it becomes very automatic. You just, right? You just keep kicking out these things. 1,000 pixels, 700 pixels, 800 pixels, 500 pixels, 1,200 pixels, whatever. And then you have your statement. You just keep copying and burn it on the CD or send it to the website, whatever. It can become very easy. And the other thing, let's see. So yeah, I said this, check for updates and changes. Format things as requested, Mac or PC. Test everything. Because again, if they get a CD from you and it doesn't work, they'll take your money. Check spelling and gender. I would not know certain names mean certain things in Hungarian or Slovakian. And so check that. And sometimes the he can be a she, and especially actually maybe because Hungarian does not have gender in the same way that some languages like French, Spanish, Italian. Do they ask for a return of this? Which sometimes in the US they ask for that. Put your name and everything everywhere. Keep track of deadlines of these. I'm sort of reminded like over and over and over. And keep track of your submissions. So I make for myself, an Excel document where I write in who I sent it to and what I sent, and like, did I send a chair? Did I send a pineapple? Did I send a landscape series? What did I send? When did I send it? Did I get an email? Did anything happen? And I try to make a new one every year. As I just remembered something. And we say ship, wait, repeat. Send it out. Oh, and you should forget about it. I'm serious. Because these things, they could take 6 months. Well, if there's a deadline, it's not going to take 6 months. But if it's something else, you never know what could happen. And in a way, if you ship, you wait, repeat, it means you're, in a way, separating yourself from the outcome. It's just part of our job, is to send out things and remind people, new people, old people, what's going on and what we're interested in. Because think about it, a good success rate might be 5%. That's pretty low. But 5% of 100 would be pretty nice. So if it takes a while, you just have to know that it takes a while. Okay, so here are some examples. And I have these as things to send you, once I hear from you, as PDF attachments. So these are just examples. This is the Deutsche Art Gallery of Evelyn Rubinstein Jewish Community Center, otherwise known as ERJIC, or whatever, of Houston, blah, 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 blah. Eligibility, all media, specifications, see below, include an introductory text panel. Okay. 7 to 10 files, link to the website, link to reviews and gallery exhibitions optional. Email the above to, here's the name, there's the address, and include your name and contact information. Blah, 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 accepted entries, blah, 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 and there's certain things. Will be scheduled after notification. The artist must respond within 1 week. So check your email at least every day or every 2 days. Because what if you get that and then you forget? That's pretty bad. So that's one example. And commission, they like 25%.
I got a comment here.
Yeah.
Check your spam folder also.
Sorry?
Check your spam folder also.
Ah, that's a good idea.
Because usually these responses from competitions, I don't know why.
Ah, it looks like spam.
You really put it into the spam folder.
What?
Most of the subjects has no reply, and then it goes straight to spam.
But that's good, yeah. Or change your spam and junk preferences so that people can email you. All right. Do people know PhotoWorks in the UK? Okay, somebody back there does. They look really cool. And prints or JPEGs on a CD. If you're sending prints, maximum of 20 at 10 by 12 or 30 to 25 or smaller in a package. JPEG 72, 12 by 10 inches. Do not submit files as PowerPoint or any other format. We will not have the time. CV, cover statement about your work, one side A4 for each. And we will respond to you, but due to the large number of submissions, we can't offer feedback about your work. Please ensure that you have included a stamp, a self-addressed envelope with sufficient postage if you want it back. So I personally, from the US, I would not want it back. Name it, blah, 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 address. And then this is more detail about this. 12 images, blah, 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 blah. It becomes very blah, 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 because they always ask for statement, JPEG size, number, title, things like this. Sometimes they ask you that. Captions for your images formatted in the following way: your name, the title, the date, and followed by copyright the artist. Salon Art Prize, I can't remember how I found out. It's another thing in London. They have painting, sculpture, photography. This is the person from the V&A. That's a little bit maybe known museum. Prizes of £500. That's stronger than the euro. That's a lot of money. A prize of 1,000 for painting. So this is Vox Photo, which I think is in Canada, in Montreal or Quebec, I think. Blah, 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 blah. And then, this could be a problem, you go to a website, please note we are not accepting proposals at the moment. We ask that you wait for the next call for submissions before sending a proposal. It will be on our website. It's your responsibility to remember to go back. If it's me, I will forget, most likely. Or maybe I'm reminded because I'm talking to you today about it. So, you never know what you'll find. VU, people heard of them? They're in Paris. They also do things. Oh no, sorry, this is VU in Quebec. So here's that January 15, September 15. Check, maybe it's January 1 or December 30. Description statement, 20 pictures, Mac compatible, blah, 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 relevant document, stamp return if you want. This is a residency. So, review committee, application $15, blah, blah, blah. I'm being blah, blah, blah because it becomes, again, very repetitious. I have all of these, I will send you as a PDF. But then they have some questions. Are you going to bring a pet? Proposal detailing what you think you might work on. So they want, this is a residency. They want different things than an exhibition. And depending on what they do normally, you might want to think about what you do. And again, is this for you? Because if you make performances that you need 500 people on the street, this might not work. But if you're interested in the way in which being in a rural area is important for your work, or you just want to work things like this, then you would be more appropriate for this application. This is after image in Rochester, New York. So it's all in there. It's just another possibility. And there are some very good free things in the US that sometimes include money. I don't think I have it here, but there's something called Lightwork, which is a residency program. It's very, very prestigious. And they give, I think, $4,000 to $6,000, a place to live, an incredibly very nice digital lab with a really, really smart guy who's a digital guru guy who helps with things. And there's a catalog or a magazine that they publish. Often they give a solo catalog magazine and then a group one, and they always have somebody write a very nice essay. So the combination of these things are great, and often this goes out to many important people. And even though it's in the middle of nowhere in New York, there's interesting things happening. Lightwork is in Syracuse. There's a university there. So it's not nowhere, but it's not exactly Manhattan. But it can be very valuable. And if you work in a studio or you work with ideas, it can be really helpful to just be concentrating for 30 days. And you get to tell them when you want to be there. Things like that. And, Flat Photo, anybody heard of this? Andy Adams. It's a blog. If you put your picture on it, it goes out to thousands of people. So, free. Doesn't demand a lot. So this is a place, New Space, in Portland, Oregon. They have a residency or other things.
What is the letter of proposal?
A proposal is you saying, this is what I want to do. So it's more like a residency. And then you just have to check, because here it says they will accept until beginning February 1 until 6 residents have been selected. So that means if they don't like it, they keep waiting. They don't have a deadline. But get it there early, because if you get accepted, then you wouldn't want to be number 7. Okay. What else do we have here? Okay. Let's talk a little bit about email. I know we're kind of going crazy, right? Everybody exhausted? We're all entertained? Okay. Let's talk about email and email marketing. Short, sweet, direct. Always include an image. Maximum 5 images. Usually that's what people say. And make them small. I got an email from somebody. Yeah, from somebody who's a very good photographer, is an educator. She's a professor at a university in New York. She sent me something that was like 5 megabytes in size. Just pictures. And I thought, what the hell is she doing? Because then I got a message from my email saying, your box is almost full. And it's like, thanks, I deleted it. And it's a newsletter. It's not, I'm not important for her. She just sends this to everybody. So make them 100K. That's easy, right? It should not be more than like 500 or 600 pixels. Very small. And for you, what we're saying, Mate, you can make your picture be a multiple. You know, you make what you do. So that if you put 2 pictures together, you include a 2-picture image. Test it twice, send it once. Do you have this saying in Hungarian? Measure twice, cut once, for building a house or something? Anyway, we say this, measure 2 times, cut once. I measure 3 times, cut twice. But you can send it to your friends, your new network, and you can make sure the links work, make sure it looks good, that it reads right, because it's very hard when we're spending time writing this. We just kind of go crazy. You start missing things because it's normal. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to send it, maybe wait an hour. Go have a coffee or a lunch or something, or wait till the next day, just so you have some distance, and then you come back to it. Don't send it too often, unless, of course, you know, it's announcements that are really important. And build that list and keep it updated, because it's really important. And everyone should be on your list. So that means the email I sent out, how many people got the email I sent yesterday? I think it was yesterday, right? You now have like 20 emails. It means you have 20 addresses of people who will be the future deciders and decision makers for Hungarian photography. Shit, that's pretty good. And that's before day one even starts. Put those email addresses into your database. And respect requests for privacy. Because you do not want to do what Sylvia was asking about, which is you don't want to be obnoxious, pushy. If you send too many emails to someone, they say, please remove me, respect that. Or if they say, please only send me 2 a year. Because again, you want to be sensitive. And you want to show these people that you are genuinely interested in a humanistic relationship, not just commerce, money, sales. Okay. So here's some examples of emails. I got this from my friend, a former student, Elizabeth, and I kind of liked it. There was an image, I think, attached. Hello, everybody, right? It's very informal, smiley face, all this stuff. Please come. There will be other artists, artists, wine people, schmooze. You never know who you're going to meet. This is actually perfect. I literally got this yesterday. So this is perfect. This is why we go out tonight. Because you never know. Hopes you're there. Here's the address, digital directions if you need them. It's great. And it's very, if you knew Elizabeth, to know her is to love her. She's very sweet, very energetic. This one, however, from Jeff, whoever the hell Jeff is. I'm going stir crazy and I'm setting May 2nd as the date to get out of LA and onto a new subject. I'd like to spend May 2nd to, let's say, May 13th somewhere and look for some compelling stories to tell. Especially if it's way off the beaten track. The harder it is to get there, the better. For example, a photo essay of patients in hospitals in Burundi who are held prisoner there when they can't pay their bill. That's very descriptive. Thank you, Jeff. I've got massive wanderlust right now and need to get out there. May 2nd, putting it out there, I'm ready to book a flight. Delete. Who the fuck is this guy? Would I, as an editor, unless I know him, say, wow, Jeff, I just happen to have some starving children in Burundi I want you to look at. So be careful what you say. This is, to me, it's unbelievable. Personally. So to address this question, that's very American. That's why I show it. This one's great too. It's awesome. We have colors, 3 colors, different fonts. Oh God. Thank you for your perusal. It's incredible. And here is some info about what is, what was, and what is going to be. Ooh, that's cool. Incredible. So, you're getting good training. What not to do. This one is a little better. It describes this project in New York called Jen Beckman and 20 by 200. Jen Beckman does this thing called Hey Hotshot, which is expensive. It's about $75. You submit 3 pictures. That's a lot of money. $75. You could go halfway to Bratislava, all the way to Fotoporta. 3 pictures. If you get chosen, then you could be maybe in a group exhibition, and maybe they make the 20 by 200 as a portfolio where they sell pictures in different sizes, and you get some percentage. I'm really excited about the print release. It's one of my favorite. They wrote up a nice blurb about it here. I guess it was a web link that I took out for personality. Take a look. Maybe you are interested in owning one of my prints at a great price, or maybe you will just want to share this with friends. On the other hand, and notice, everything else I'm showing you, there's not a name there. This woman, on the other hand, is somebody who I have great respect for. She's incredible at marketing. She used to work in the perfume industry. She's French-born, now lives in the US, Martine Foucheron, and she's amazing. This was from one email. She's giving us information about this project, Paris Photo, Gallery 339. Great, you know. She makes images originally of her children. She has 2 sons, and she was photographing her sons and then their friends. They're now maybe 20, 21. Then she was hanging out with them and during proms and other stuff. And then she's been getting hired by different magazines to photograph teenage interactions. She did a fashion shoot in her home with her kids and her kids' friends. So here's more stuff. You know, just essentially putting PDFs into an email. And she's giving you information. This is in the collection of Philadelphia Museum of Art, portfolio competition winner, jury by Peter Barberi. So it's strong, you know, but it is acceptable. So you decide if this is what you want, but it's pretty nice for what it could be compared to, let's say, some of these other examples. She shoots for the New Yorker, which is a very elitist, or elite magazine. This was one of her pictures from just an exhibition in the museum, and she goes and takes pictures for what's called Going On About Town, where they just have a picture. It's a very prestigious place to have your image. So, and then the one thing I want to leave you with is this thing called MailChimp. Is something worth checking out. It's free. You can send 3,000 emails a month. Has anybody heard of it? Yeah? So you can send 3,000 emails a month, and you create it. It's going to look pretty similar to this. You can add images, text, hyperlinks to stuff, and you enter all the people's information, and then it records a little bit of information about what happens, if they open it or not, how many times they open it. If they unsubscribe, you will get an email. If it bounces back, they have a soft or a hard bounce, and soft bounce is mailbox full, something like this, maybe out of office reply. Hard bounce is they no longer work there. It's free. Take a little time. You can design your own and upload it, or you can design within theirs. They are pretty restrictive about email addresses. They want you to click a button to make sure that you're acknowledging that you were given these people's addresses. So actually, I made a mistake. Someone gave me a huge list that I did not check carefully enough, and I got 50% bounce. They said, sorry, pal. And they said, you're on probation. It was actually a great experience to see this happen. I think it's a really good tool. The most important is it gives you this information about what happens. Because then what you can do, you can find out, because they give a star rating, 1 through 5. 2 means they're just on your list, so that means nothing. 5 means they look at your emails a lot. But I realized through looking at MailChimp that my stock rep had sent something out about some news for me to his list, put it on their website. I can look at who in the magazine editorial world or in the gallery world is looking. So anybody 3 and higher, I'm going to focus on them. And then I will write them a follow-up email at some point, or say, oh, when I'm ready to show my book, because I try to do magazine work, or if I'm trying to show some new work, things like this, depending on what it is. So it can be very valuable. Okay. We're almost done. Here we all collapse. Websites. How many people have a website? Okay. How many people are working on putting up a website? Okay. They are necessary. They are your 24/7, 365, sometimes 66, business card. If you do nothing else by December 31, get your website set. Even if it's 10 or 15 pictures. Just an indication of what you do with a link to your email so that people can see and contact you. If you do nothing else. Because some of these submissions ask for an email, a website address. And if you can't be found, you don't exist. And this whole process is about existing in a way, being recognized. What were some of the words we talked about earlier? Recognition, interest, things like that. A website also allows you to curate your work in new ways. So let's say the things that Mate is doing, or others, it's not just him, because I'm interested in this too, and I see some very interesting examples at times. Putting pictures together in different ways. You can't always do that anywhere but on your website. So it's an opportunity to make a little exhibition if you want to, and play around. You can make things bigger and smaller. You can do whatever you want. You should keep it simple and easy to navigate. How many people go to websites and wait more than 10 seconds for the thing to open? Exactly. I see so many, and not just from anywhere, from everywhere. close, close, close. Fuck that, I'm not gonna wait. And I am patient. I might give it 10 seconds. But I hear from so many important people, editors, curators, people who teach marketing who are more knowledgeable than me. What is this, Flash? For me, Flash is ridiculous. Especially now, especially in the US, everybody has an Apple this, I that, right? It doesn't even work on that system. Make your contact information easy to find. Ideally, it should be on every page, or it should be that, like I redesigned mine recently with the intern, and it's always up in one place, and this side, looking at you, would be where the pictures are. Update it occasionally. You can even change your pictures around. And you can make your home page a link to other projects and change those pictures. So let's say, like for me, I have 6 pictures on my home page. If I had more time, I would change those 6 out to new ones, so that when people return, they say, oh, something different. Use other sites for inspiration when you're designing yours. Show it to people you're thinking about. Draw it out on a piece of paper, or put it together in Photoshop first. Or if you're good at HTML, design something and say, I've got 3 ideas. Hey, come on over for dinner. Let's talk. And if you wish to say something, consider how a blog can work for you. And I think, personally, I think too many people have blogs. They get a little like, whatever, who cares? For me, at least. I don't read a lot on the line. But if you really want to say something important, obviously you would link this from your website, but it should probably be on a blog, not on your website. Your website is really just like, it's like a presentation platform. That should be pretty much it. Information and updates and news and things like this. Let's see. This is one thing that's on my list of resources. It's called the Curatorship, and I will send this link to you. And it gives you lots of opportunities, residencies, things like this. Again, I will send it to you. Everybody taking notes is not going to send me an email. Right? And I don't know if I have anything else. Let's see. I can show you a few. Or any questions? Questions? Okay, I want to show you a couple websites. I'm going to sit down. Just some examples of websites. So he has down here, it links to email, or you can copy and paste it. And nowadays, how many of you have a Gmail address or something like this? Yeah, a lot of people, right? So if I click on this, it opens up in my my email program, because I'm old school. But a lot of people don't. So you want to have something you can copy and paste easily to put into your program. You can download his CV, and then he has different series. This is one I'm particularly interested in, that he did over time. But simple. Notice, the picture changes, everything else stays the same. Doesn't matter. Right? So that, to me, is simple. No, this is new. It's very nice, just simple, clean. And he's a young guy. He's maybe 21, 22. Just graduated from school in Boston. Is looking at graduate programs. Very smart. He doesn't really curate much, but he knows a lot of people. Okay. Do people know Shari Ember? Mm-hmm. Last I checked her site, yes. Personally, I think this is really nice because it's very unexpected. I can see a picture. I can send an email. I can look at photography series. It's in 2 languages. And the text is really playful. And news. So I just think it's a really unique form for a photographer to take because it's so graphic. Here we go. This, on the other hand, nothing happens here. If I click on this, you can just see in the bottom, I get it mail. I don't get anywhere else. So I know the woman. I have mixed feelings about this. This is what happens. It opens in my email. You can decide if you want to be that sort of vague. He's shaking his head. So it's an example, that's it. Let's see, I had, excuse me, you get to see all sorts of stuff, right? Okay. Oh, okay, guess she changed that. What not to do when you're teaching. Okay. She's a friend, so I give her a little more time. So, let's see what happens if we go to... Okay, bye. That's what people do, you know? Because I want you to see this in practice. Sorry, close. This man, I showed his card earlier. He does a lot of design and book covers and things like this. He has actors and writers, selected portraits. Whoopi Goldberg. Whoa. Pretty impressive. He also, because he's very design conscious, you can just he thinks a lot about the color of his page. Personally, I don't like dark pages. I find them can be very difficult. But the yellow, at least we can see. So here's his portraits. And he does a lot of things with layering, imagery, you know, like this, where he scans different materials and uses them to build. It's all digitized. And his landscapes. And it's loading relatively quickly, maybe, maybe not. These are probably more recent. But notice again, all this stuff stays up here.
Isn't this like there is this website, I think it's image books or something?
What?
It's called image books, I think the Richard on the website is made by them. Basically what they do over you for a lot of money is that you can figure out your layout, you can figure out how is your menu, and if you want to stay on that, do you want to follow that. So you say all the design, and you just upload the images, you
Right.
can even decide whether you want two in a landscape or one. I guess like $600, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, it can be very expensive.
They do it in this kind of really clean stuff. Bigger sizing.
I'm not going to make recommendations about how to choose a website designer. I made my own, and then I had an intern who helped me redesign it and taught me the shift in my HTML programming so that I relatively can understand it.
I would like to recommend one, this indexibit.org.
Index?
Indexibit. Because it's like someone, I mean, a programmer friend of mine needed 2 hours.
Index, how do I spell this?
HIBIT, yeah, it's .org. And it's like WordPress, but it's a lot more beautiful, a lot more templates to choose from.
Ibit.
.org.
It is .org.
Go to index.
Ah,
No.
it. Index CB.
IT at the end.
IT in the end.
Okay.
IT.
Let's
IT.
see.
IT.
Yes.
This?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's always a very minimalist template, but for a programmer, really, and there is an admin. I mean, you need to know programming, but really like minimal.
Okay, interesting.
And a lot of photographers use it actually because it has this kind of simple layout.
Excuse me for a moment.
Sorry, I just have to go upstairs.
Yeah, yeah. See you later, alligator. Okay, and then so I don't know about this, but I just copied the link, so I will send it to people. And then I just learned about this woman yesterday or 2 days ago. Just a different design. But look what she has. She has news, work, like her, do the whole Facebook shit, right? You can watch videos, etc., 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 etc. And if you click, you get her bio and a picture, and then all of these series. And if you click, you get more. Whether you like this design or not is unimportant to me. It's just an example of things that are being done. I want you to find a way to present your work that's relevant for you. If you're really smart and you want to code it yourself, that's great. If you have no idea and you can afford to either trade a photograph or pay somebody for doing it, and trading a photograph is not a bad idea. The main thing I encourage is that you make sure that whoever makes your site makes it in a way that you can update it later. Because I know someone I was talking to recently who said they want me to pay them more so that I can change it later. It's really important that you have some idea or decide how you're going to make this arrangement work for you. Because if you have a new series, do you want to spend another 100 euros? Or do you want to figure out how you can do this? So, just some thoughts. Let's see if there's anything else to show you. This guy, he's the zine guy. Okay, that loaded really fast. And we can see from looking at it, he's already implying a certain quality within his work and style and things like that. So, books, he does a lot of things. Book dummy press, I think he makes, so you can see just to bounce around. He teaches at ICP, where I also teach. So just different examples. These are all books that he's made in the last few years. And if you click on one, you can see it. Whether you like it or not, that's unimportant. It's just an example of what he does. Now let's click on this one. It's very American looking. Whitman, Maryland, and the police dogs. A little bit of my history. Men with beards, they could be Hungarian. Beautiful women, they could be Hungarian. And attack dogs, they certainly could be Hungarian. So, very simple way of presenting what he does. You immediately get a very authentic idea. And links to exhibitions, blah, 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 blah. So he curated something. That's old, but let's see, anything else? Oh, no. This is a woman who I know from Toronto. She was living in Berlin for a while, and I think she's back in Toronto. She was my intern one summer. And now she makes self-portraits. She used to make one every day, but it's this style, just scrolling down. Very interesting, I think, evocative about being a woman, about being young. A lot of stuff. That's how she prefers. And she has contact information. She has a book. She has shopping. I don't know what that is. Okay. Well. So some objects. Very unique. So you could imagine you could make something. Oh. 2 mystery prints for $15. That's cool. One of a kind, hand sewn to an antique frame. Sold out. These are on sale. It means they're not moving. And this antique frame. So some different ideas, and she has a very nice blog, which is similar. And notice how quickly everything loads. And she's very personable and friendly, and most of these people are. Crazy. So. Trying to think if there's anybody else I'm thinking of. My brain is kind of exhausted. I think we can stop. Right? Yeah. Okay, so thank you for your patience listening to me. You can all agree we're all exhausted. So we will meet again at before we meet, I want you to be thinking about something. Have people heard of this idea, the elevator pitch? Yes?
No.
Any idea what is an elevator pitch? What do you think?
Is it connected to elevator speech?
Sorry?
Is it connected to elevator speech?
It is connected to elevators. And do you know what a pitch is? Anybody watch Mad Men? This crazy American. Somebody's in the back, yes? You should be in the front teaching this with me next time.
Should I translate it?
Sorry, I can't hear
Should I
you.
translate it into Hungarian or just?
No, you should say it in English so I can understand.
It's like somebody is giving you an idea, you just take it, but it's like it's a really short, sharp thing.
Yeah.
So they're just throwing you an idea and either you catch it or not.
Okay. Did everybody understand this?
Like what Buddha was saying.
Sorry?
Like Buddha was saying to his students, just a few sentences.
Yes, like 2 or 3 sentences about something. So it comes from this really crazy Hollywood. Hey, I got a great idea, Morty. Come over here. All right. It's about a superhero who's going to eat a monster and then it's going to go crazy and kill New York. Great, Joe. Let's do it. Right? 30 seconds, it's over. Or tell me more. That's what you want, right? So I'm being silly, of course, but so in this case, it is, hi, my name's Saul Robbins. I make pictures about intimate relationships and environmental ideas, and I'm interested in the relationship between loss and unity. Boom. They can say, what? Or they can say, oh, really? Or they can say, thank you very much. And I'm a little out of practice because I haven't done this so much lately. But your assignment, and I'm not playing around, is to start thinking about making a 30-second pitch. And they call it an elevator pitch because maybe in Budapest it should be maybe either 15 seconds because you have short buildings, or longer because your elevators might move more slowly. But your assignment is to make a 30-second biography. Because what we're going to do this afternoon, and that's why it is an assignment, is when we meet at Patendi's school, we're going to play this game, which is very serious, actually. And if you're uncomfortable, that's great. Because it shouldn't be something that, oh, no problem. And I really don't want you to leave because you don't want to do this. I want you to be willing to take the challenge, and I'm very serious about this, because this is important. Because if you can't talk about yourself and your work, then we really need to work. Because everybody should take a deep breath and think about this. You can write it down, or you can just think it through your head. And the idea is, because there's a lot of us, we're going to go in a big circle. You're going to meet somebody, hi, my name's Saul, blah, 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 and then you're going to go, and then we're going to switch. So you're going to do this many times. So the idea is not the first time. That's the worst. The idea is the 10th, and the 11th, and the 12th, and the 13th, 14th, 15th, so that it becomes more comfortable. Okay. Does that make sense? So it should make you a little anxious, but it should also make you excited, because it's an opportunity to think about and then to present yourself in a way that works. It should be your words. We'll talk about it more, and we can come up with comments and suggestions.
It's like the rapid dating.
Yeah, exactly. And anybody ever go dating to try to meet somebody? Or look at these online dating things? Yeah, nobody, right? Everybody's married at 12 years old, and everybody's happy for the rest of their lives, right? So it's like that. And it relates to other things we will do, which are about your statement for your work, your biography for you, and other things. So we'll make it fun. It'll be fun. We can't hand out Palinka because it's too early in the day, but it will be enjoyable. And as you saw with me, I had to stammer or step a little bit with this. But when you go to these reviews, by the third or fourth one, boom, you're doing great. It's polished, and you know. And when you sit down to meet somebody, sometimes the first thing they want to know is, tell me about yourself, before they even look at the pictures. Or you might want to say, hi, I'm Saul Robbins. I'm interested in intimacy, and I'm also interested in the representation of place and environment. I have several different portfolios. I have this, I have that, I have that. Which would you like to see? Suddenly, you are leading the conversation. You are directing everything. And you are completely in control, even though the person on the other side of the table is the person who's the quote-unquote important decision maker. What a great advantage to have. And they think, wow, this person's really together, and they feel in control also. So you're not obnoxious. Hi, I will show you my pictures. I want you to buy them, stuff like that. You're being yourself. And if they say, tell me more, you're speaking about yourself in more detail because it's you. You're not representing somebody else. You're representing yourself. And if they say, oh, loss and unity, what do you mean by that? And I can say what that means for me. Okay. Have fun. If you're here with a friend, you can practice back and forth. If you're not here with a friend, maybe find one, or go have a Palinka and then work at it, whatever. Okay. Let's stop. Good.